What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler. Legs, we're picking the Eastern Conference over-unders this year. We've done the Western Conference already. We're doing this on July 25th. Did you enjoy the Eastern Conference over-under deep dive that you did more or less than the Western Conference?
I think the West was a little bit more fun. I just think in general, there's just better storylines coming out of the offseason in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of big swings in the West, man. Trying to some teams with stars trying to figure out a way, man, to piece this together to make a run. The East, it feels like there's a little bit more of teams that are sort of implementing a plan and they're kind of slow walking the execution of it. So it just wasn't as interesting as what you got in the West, where a number of teams are just going all in.
100% agree. There are going to be some teams that find themselves in the playoff hunt that maybe weren't totally expecting themselves to be. And that's where it's different than the West, where we think teams early on will drop out of the race, realizing they have no chance. So we're going to get through all of that. There are some interesting storylines in the Eastern Conference. If you missed our Western Conference one, go back and check it out. But also play along. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree as we go through this. So let's start in Washington with the Wizards, who have a lowly 20.5. We saw this line for the Utah Jazz in the other conference. Somebody is going to have the worst record. It's a very good draft year. The Wizards went 18-64, so they actually think they're trending upwards. But they have a very bad roster, Legs, with it's almost hard to project and forget tanking. It's almost hard to project.
Funny. Your lead into that was hilarious, man. You give these the positivity vibes, and then you hit them with, yeah, but their roster isn't very good.
That's the one holdup here. The roster's not so good.
Yeah. Other than that.
So what do you think? 20 and a half.
I mean, and this is hard. This is painful because I wore that jersey proudly, man.
Right.
But it's hard for me to imagine it. And I know they added some vets, but are those guys inspired to be there? You know what I mean? CJ McCollum, I love. He's had a lot of injury problems of his own lately. Is he going to be really out there grinding it every night in Washington to try to help them with his veteran savvy, on a team like that? I don't really see that happening, man. I like to pick up a Cam Whitmore. I think he's going to get more of an opportunity he ever got in Houston. I'm excited to see what he does. I just don't like their roster very much, man. I agree with you. What's the ultimate upside of Bub Carrington and Alex Sarr and Coulibaly? Like, I don't know what their ceiling is. So For me, I'm going to go under, and I know that's really low because the number's already 20 and a half. So they won 18 last year. I don't know that I see much upward mobility with this roster, even with some of the vets that they brought in, Chris Middleton, CJ McCollum. I don't know how motivated those guys are going to be to play every night.
Yeah, I even if you count those guys as being what they were, it's an awkward fit because the rest of the roster is so far behind those two. And then I think it's an unbalanced roster. It's really backcourt heavy, not so much front court heavy. On ESPN, they're showing Bilal Coulibaly as their starting power forward. I think that they have some interesting young talent in their backcourt, not so much in their front court outside of Sarr. And so I think it's an unbalanced roster. And then just you look at how this unfolds. Are they going to be good in the first 30 games of the year? Probably not. And at that point, when you're already in pole position now and you look at AJ DeBansa and all the stuff he's doing, the Boozer brothers, what are you going to think? I think they're going to be an early team to pull the plug, in part because it'll be easy. So I'm with you.
I will make one quick prediction on them. I think Trey Johnson will be first team all rookie, and I think he has a shot at rookie of the year.
Ooh, I like that. Why is that? What is it about him?
It's just because he's just an absolute natural scorer. Like, nothing about his game. It looks like it's happening too fast for him. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and he's got every single platform down in his scoring bag. So I just think he's going to put up numbers, and they're going to need him to. And they should throw him out there, man. Let the guy play a lot of minutes. They're talking about him going along slowly. We talked to their GM in Summer League. I'm like, okay, we'll see how that goes. When you get out of the gate slowly and you got this elite scorer sitting there on your bench, I think the minutes are going to happen quickly for him. And I think he's going to put up numbers. Now, it might not be enough on a bad team, even putting up gaudy numbers to win Rookie of the Year. You got some great candidates. I think Harper's a great candidate. I think Cooper Flagg. But I just think this guy scores unlike anybody that I've seen in this class right away.
The next one I think is more interesting, and that is the Brooklyn Nets, even though the line is the exact same, 20.5. But Legs, there was a quote that came out from a Nets executive yesterday where he said, I'm not saying Michael Porter Jr. will win the scoring title, but I think it could be close. This roster doesn't look like it'll be good, but they do need somebody to take shots, and Michael Porter Jr. is willing to do that. Do you see him winning the scoring title? And do you see or being in contention for it? And do you see them winning more than 20.5 games?
All right, listen. I got to pump the brakes on all this right now. I don't even know where this show's going. It's going off the rails. I like Michael Porter Jr. a lot. That might be the craziest statement I've heard made.
That's not my statement. That's a Nets executive.
I understand that, but you seem like, you almost seem like, hey, even throwing it out there, like, let's entertain this debate for a little bit. What are we talking about? The scoring title.
Hey, man, he can score. He can shoot.
Oh, come on, man. He's scoring title. You got to be able to do an awful lot after you get the ball with a live dribble to be able to get into that category. You're talking about averaging, scoring leader, top 20. You got to get well north of 20 points a game. I can't see that happening. I like them. I like what Denver did better. I think they upgraded the spot with Cam Johnson. So, no, that ain't happening. And in general, there's not a lot that I really like about their roster. And the fact that they used all of those first-round picks, they didn't do anything to trade them. They drafted a bunch of really young guards who are not going to have a lot of impact, and yet they're going to feel like they've got to justify their selection by playing them. That's going to be difficult for them. I'm taking the under on this as well.
I'm taking the under as well, which is crazy because this is 3 teams with 20.5 win total that we are taking the under on. And it brings me to a belief I have about this upcoming season. I think we see more tanking this year than we've seen in previous years. And it's because there's not just one player. I think it's hard to tank when you're rooting for just the number 1 pick. Your odds are so low no matter how bad your record is. But this year has a handful of players that if you fell to 2, 3, 4, I think you still feel good about it. And we just look at some of these rosters. They're not very good. I think Brooklyn tanks. I think the Wizards tank. I think Utah tanks. That's 3 teams that we might see contending throughout the year for worst record.
The only thing I'm surprised by is the fact that you would take the under also on Brooklyn, considering the fact you're on record as saying Michael Porter Jr. is going to lead the league in scoring.
That's not what I said. Rewind the tape. James, rewind the tape for this, man. It's not what I was reading.
James, don't you dare. Listen.
I was reading a quote from a Nets executive.
I'm still in a state of shock. Listen, Michael Porter Jr. won't average 20 points a game.
Wow. I think he'll average 20. I think he'll average like 22.
Oh!
20? Yeah, I'm going all the way up to 22.
Man.
He can shoot. He's going to have some games. I think Michael Porter will have some big games. Not a lot, but I think he'll have some. Because when he's on fire, he is like...
We're going to... Hey, my friend, we're going to revisit this throughout the season.
Mark it down. 22 a game.
And I'm thinking that I want to be clear. 22. I want to be clear to everybody. I'm not trashing Michael Porter Jr., but we have to be realistic about dudes' games this deep into their career. We kind of know what they are. Yeah. He's not a 20-point scorer.
All right. We'll have to see. Mark it down, James. Right. We got to circle back to this. Charlotte Hornets 27.5. This is another team for me that's hard to peg down because they had such a weird year last year. They were 19-63. Obviously, that was not indicative of what they could have been. But that 27.5 is a pretty, let me see, is that what is it? 27.5. Which way do you break on this? How do you think it's going to go? Their roster's kind of interesting. They have players that you could believe in. Kneppel looked really, really good. What do you think?
That just seems like a really low number, man, for like really, really good young talent. I know that they've had an impossible time staying healthy and they've had off-court issues and all kinds of stuff's going on, but just looking at like their top 3 guys, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, and Miles Bridges, that's pretty damn good for young talent. And look, I don't know about Kneppel. I mean, I'm not sure. He climbed higher in the charts than I thought he would. I didn't think he was going to be picked that high. And he
Look
struggled
good
early
too.
in summer league, but then he played really well later. I mean, it's just summer league, but it was a good way for him to finish. So I think coming in, imagine if he had, 4 or 5 straight games where he didn't play well in Vegas, like the amount of scrutiny on him coming into
Mm.
camp. But I think fortunately for him, he shed some of that. So he's coming in a positive vibe, and we'll see to what extent, his role is this year. But that's a lot of young talent to think they can't win 30 games. So I'm going with the over.
This is one of those dangerous ones where it feels like 27.5 is nothing, so they should be the over. But I think I'm going to go with the over just because I think the East is going to struggle, and so there's going to be no need for them to bow out. Because that's what I was going to say is it could be one of these things where you get to January and there are too many games out and you have to pick a lane, and it would be easy for them to tank. It would be difficult for them to win, but 27.5 is too low. The East is too bad. I'm going to go over as well, but I still think this is like 30 wins. I don't think it's crazy.
Well, the thing is, right off the bat, you've got to put down 4 losses because of them playing Brooklyn and unable to stop Michael Porter Jr.
You
So
got
that's
to do
4
it,
losses
man.
right there.
You just pencil those in. Michael Porter's going crazy. Bulls at 30.5. This is the ultimate 30.5 team right here. The Chicago Bulls. They won 39
That's so
last
true.
year.
That's so true.
What do you think?
You're so right about what you just said. I'm actually going to make a prediction. They're going to actually win 30 and a half games. I don't know how, but like it's pegged so perfectly. Maybe one game and it's like tied or triple overtime and like the lights
Just
go out
call it.
and they just
Yeah,
stop
they
it.
just
They just
call it.
don't ever finish it. So I
I
think
think
you're
you're right,
right.
man.
Look, one thing that came out of last year, I think Buzelis is a player. I
I
think he's going
agree.
to have a really strong second year. I think he's going to have a really good start to the year. And I think Giddey, I think he regained his respect. I think people now, because it didn't end well for him at OKC, man, with his inability to make open shots. He had some off the court stuff that he was dealing with, and he just took a big hit. Like, who is this guy as a player? He got there. I think you put the ball in his hands, you can see what he's capable of doing. He's a really an elite level ball mover, man. He just understands the game, super high IQ. So he found the right home, the right usage for him. And Kobe White had a breakout year. So there's enough there. I'm going to take the over on 30 and a half.
Oh man, and right as my camera goes out on this one here. 30.5, I'll take the over as well. They Here's the thing, there's some disaster potential in my opinion for this Bulls team because Giddey coming in not getting the deal he wants. They had that nice run last year. They might not have actually been as good as they were last year. And then they just don't have a ton of depth, but at the same time 30.5 is low. I think they're not going to be that bad. So I think they win 33, 34 games. It's not that hard to win 30 games, especially when we just went through those teams in the East that, you have the Hornets, the Nets, the Wizards. Those are some automatic wins that you'll be able to scoop up. The Raptors aren't that great. So 30.5, I'm going to take the over with you. Let me tell you guys about one of our newest partners. It's a really cool company called Rugged Road. At ruggedroadoutdoors.com, they have incredible coolers that are lightweight by design. They're not those heavy ones that takes like 6 people to carry down to the beach, the river, the lake, wherever it is you're going. They're lightweight, but very durable, crafted to handle the toughest environments. They're built to last. They look great. And they have this cool feature in that they float. So if you go into the water, maybe you're trying to get one last beach trip or lake trip out, want to go floating down the river, kayaking, whitewater rafting, whatever it is, take these along with you. Pack your favorite drinks and float down the river right alongside your Rugged Road cooler. It's a really cool company. You guys know I'm an outdoorsman. I just went fly fishing yesterday up to the river. Should have brought my Rugged Road. They have some really cool stuff. So if you're an outdoors person, or if you just like getting out to the park, to the lake, to the river, to the ocean, to the beach, whatever it is, make sure you check out Rugged Road at ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Gear up for your next adventure. Rugged Road coolers, reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use the code ALLCITY for 10% off. Also want to tell you guys about FanDuel, the best place to find all your favorite player props. And now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's been hitting the over consistently or maybe flirting with a potential triple-double? Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. We got Eurobasket coming up. We have preliminaries for Eurobasket this week happening. So you'll actually see some NBA players. I don't know if you're going to be able to find these on TV, but they will be playing in some preliminaries. And in a couple weeks, Eurobasket officially begins, which should be fun. You want to see if they're hitting it? You can check out those performance trends. They have stats right inside the app so you can see what the latest trends are. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into the same game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Maybe you like one of these Eastern Conference over-unders you hear us talking about. You want to lay a little $5 bet down. You get $200 in bonus bets if it's your first time betting. So just visit FanDuel.com/AllNBA to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, the Toronto Raptors now 37.5. They went 30-52 last year. This is quite a huge bump for them given the year that they had. They do have some good players. They had some turnover in their front office. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, I don't like this number at all. I think they're going to be under that. I don't know how you give them that kind of a bump. I mean, I guess they're factoring in, a full year, quickly Barrett there, like another year
Right.
there, more comfortable, and then Brandon Ingram, but Brandon Ingram over the last 4 years has been available in 56% of his team's games. 56%. And the 2 years before that, he played 60. So like it you can just pencil it in. I mean, he's going to miss a large chunk of the season. Now, if Brandon Ingram played 75 games last year with his skill level and what this team needs, I would maybe I might even think this team, hey man, they might be a 500 team because he's that talented, but he's just never available. So that to me is not enough with the limited time he's probably going to play. And it's not like I love Quickly and Barrett enough or Scotty Barnes, like to think that's going to all come together. So I don't know. They won 30. I don't know how you figure they're going to win 8 more games. So I'm taking the under.
I think I'm taking the under as well, but I don't love the roster and how it comes together, but they do have a lot of players that I really like. So they're starting 5. It is all good players. Do I like the way it comes together? Not at all. I like Shed off the bench, Grady Dick, Ajay Abaji, and Jonathan Mogbo. I like all of those guys, but I'm with you. I don't see what is meaningfully different about them this year. 37.5 feels high. I think they win 35 or so, somewhere around there. So I'm under on them. I think the Pacers are interesting, 38.5, because here's the question. Who breaks out in Halliburton's absence? Who is the guy that ends up having a really good year? And I think you have a couple options here. I could see Nembhard, who's been great in his absence before, gets an elevated role. Benedict Mathurin, your guy, Aaron Nesmith. So I think one of those 3 guys gets a bit more opportunity, kind of runs the show this year, and could play well. And they're a team. So sometimes a team loses its star, but they still know how to play the style of basketball. That being said, I don't know if it's a very exciting or eventful year. 38.5. How do you feel?
Well, I'm going over, man. I think this team's 500 at worst. I think they're going to find a way. And the reason is because they're a winning organization. What they've done the last couple of years, man, that matters. It matters a lot. How you carry yourself, your expectations, the coaching matters. And to your point, they've got some guys that are going to have an opportunity to show you what they have at the highest level. I think Nembhard beat the top of the list because he's going to have the ball a ton this year, man. And a lot of nights a lot of it's going to be his show offensively. Right. And I think he's got what it takes to take that leap. I actually think there were times they didn't use him well enough offensively in the past couple of years. I think he takes the leap. Mathurin, yeah, I mean, I like him a lot. I don't know how much more you can expect from him. Like, I don't think he's going to average 20. He already averaged 16, 17 last year. He'll be in that same boat. They get Isaiah Jackson back. I think that's a big deal. I think that matters. So, and look, I don't know. We'll see if that dunk that Johnny Furphy had in Vegas can carry over to the regular season. He's going to have a monster year. So, I just think they're winners. That's the bottom line. And they still
Oh,
have Pascal Siakam, man. So I'm going over 500 for Indiana, which means they're certainly over that 38.5 number.
you might have talked me into this because this was one I was on the fence for, and it was the exact reason you're talking about, that I just think that they know how to play, and they're going to be, they're the type of team that becomes better than the sum of their parts. The parts get a little bit worse, but I think that they can still find success. So I'm with you. I think you talked me into an over. I was right on the line. I don't know if they go above 40, 42, which is what you're predicting, but I think 39, 40, I could see that happening. I am worried about their center position. Heat 38.5 wins. This one's an interesting one because I don't really know what to make sense of it. And it's interesting that they're ahead of Indiana. What do you make of the Miami Heat and the moves they made? Namely, Norman Powell.
Yeah, Norman Powell, the biggest one, and he's gonna bring something to their team because he had his best year of his career offensively. He's always been a guy that plays hard defensively, so you're not really bringing a guy in that needs that. I guess on that alone, maybe you'd think that it's an uptick. They were 37 last year. They add Norman Powell, so you think 38.5 should do it. And yet, I just look at their team. I don't know. Maybe it is. You know what it is for me? I think I'm just a little bit bored with the Heat. Like they bore me.
Mm.
So like if you start talking about, oh, they're going to be 500 or better, now you're talking about them being, it's kind of relevant in the East, and I don't know that they're going to be. So I'm going to go under, and I'm probably going to be wrong on that because they won 37. They added Norman Powell. That alone should be enough. And Khalil Ware, had a very good rookie year. Maybe he just comes out of the gate, like a monster. Maybe that matters a lot. Tyler Hero had the best year of his career. So there's a lot there maybe you could build on. And I just think it's just so unexciting for me, like their team in general.
I'm a little skeptical of Khalil Ware, and I know everybody's high on him. He did have a good rookie year. I'm a little skeptical about him, and I think a lot of this comes down to him and just how does he complete that starting five, or at least projected starting five. If he underwhelms, if he doesn't make a leap, the second year leap like most people are expecting, could you see a world where Bam slides back to five and they try to move Jaquez or Jovic into the starting lineup? I could see it. And so I think a lot of this comes to Khalil Ware, and as good as he has looked as a talent, I want to see him make another leap before I fully buy in. I think I'm going to take a slight under on them. I think they'll be 36, 37 wins. That's the Heat. They're always competitive. But because of Khalil Ware and a few questions I have, I'm going to take the under. Oh, man, you want to talk about one of the hardest ones to project? The 76ers, 41.5. What do we make of this?
This number is nuts because the range with which you can miss this is the greatest, is the biggest in the league without question in my mind. They could win 15 to 20 games less than that, or they could win 15 more than that number. I really believe it. Like, to me, this might be the single most interesting team in the Eastern Conference because Adam, look, I understand it's almost you have to suspend reality to think that they're going to be healthy, especially Embiid. I understand why people be skeptical even saying that. But if they are, they've got Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, who had a breakout year, and I love VJ Edgecombe and what he brings to the table, and Jared McCain at some point coming back into the fold. They still have Kelly Oubre Jr. That's a lot of talent, man. So if they hit and they stay on the court, I like Nick Nurse a lot. I think Nick Nurse is a really sharp coach. He didn't even coach last year. There was nothing there to coach. I think Philadelphia has a chance to hit and get it really relevant in that top 4 or 5 in the East if they stay healthy or more. Question is, do you buy that they're going to do that? I'm going to take the over on this number.
Man,
skeptically.
41.5 really is the in between, though. We're not sure. It's probably not going to be close to this, but we're not sure if it's way over, way under. And yet, I think I'm going to take the under. Paul George, already questionable about training camp. There was this big feature on ESPN about Joel Embiid a couple weeks ago. It was 7,000 words. It talked about a lot of things. You know what it didn't talk about? Is he healthy? Is he coming into the league healthy? A lot of words. When you write an article that long and that detailed, I know it wasn't about that, But you think it would say something about, oh, summer's gone well, rehab's gone well. I think you're looking at this, and then VJ Edgecombe, obviously a rookie, and he's going to play a big role for them. There's just a chance that once again, this season is not healthy for them and goes off the rails early. 41.5 is not many games. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be way wrong. But I just don't like the vibe I get from this team going into the year that makes me think they're going to be healthy this time around.
It's fair. It's fair, man. I think I'm going to be honest and admit that I think part of me is just like how much I want them to be in the mix, how much better that would make the Eastern Conference discussion if they stayed healthy and they hit, how interesting the East would become with that team also relevant. So I think that's part of it. I'll be honest, it's a little bit of a bias there because I want to see it happen.
Let's go to the Milwaukee Bucks here because this is one of the teams I am most intrigued by. Their line is low, 42.5. So they think they're going to be like the 76ers. The difference is, are they going to be sneaky good? And Giannis, knock on wood, assuming he remains healthy, he's had a very healthy career. I think he can drag this team well above that. And then I look at it and go, Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Miles Turner. There's a lot of spacing there. AJ Green off the bench. They have some guys. I think this might be the one I'm most confident. This is the one I'm stamping the over on, and I feel really good about it. I think they might get to 50 wins. 48, 49 wins.
Oh, man.
Giannis is good, man.
You were making a fairly convincing argument, and then you just threw a number like that out there.
Giannis is good.
It's not a 50-win team. Come on, not a 50-win team.
I mean, look,
I love Giannis as much as anybody.
Who in the East is? There's no competition.
All right. Well, that doesn't mean just that somebody's got to win 50. It doesn't work that way. I look at them and I go, all right, they still have Giannis doing his thing, man. He's still an MVP caliber player. I don't love the rest of the lineup. They did a nice job of figuring out a way to replace Brook Lopez. They got about as good an approximation as you can get and really a better player in Miles Turner because he's a better offensive player, even though he really struggled in the finals. That's a nice job with that pickup. Kyle Kuzma, that doesn't inspire me all that much. Gary Trent Jr. had a really good year, but he got hurt. I don't know. And then Kevin Porter Jr. was a surprise revelation for them. But now there's expectation. Is he going to be able to pull that off for a full season and really do his thing? And then the bench in general, some of these guys doesn't really do much for me, man. So the number I could see them being right at it. 43, 44 wins, tops. I don't see them getting close to 50.
Giannis is really good, and I think that it's the curse of Giannis that he can drag mediocre players, mediocre teams to looking really good. And I just think this year, more than any other year, that's what this is going to feel like. He has spacing. I wouldn't mind a Giannis MVP bet. I think it's not a bad bet this year. The only problem is I don't know if they'll win enough games for them to be in, the MVP conversation. But I think that he's going to drag this team to more wins than people realize. So I'm taking the way over here. Boston Celtics, 43.5. They had a weird year. They're obviously out of this gap year. They haven't had a gap year in a long time. They've been competitive. They felt like they had a chance to win it for the last 5 years or so. This year, I don't think they realistically think they have a chance to win. And here's their front court. Sam Hauser, Neemias Queta, George Niang, Luka Garza, Xavier Tillman. It's not a very promising front court, Legs, and that's why I don't know about this line.
I agree with that, man. That's kind of brutal that's what we're going out there with to start the year. A team that, you hope is still in the championship window once they get Tatum back. But man, I had the same reasoning that I was using with Indiana. That these guys, it's a winning organization. And Jaylen Brown, potentially has a monster year. Derek White's still there. Anthony Simons is a really intriguing young talent. So that's an uptick over Drew Holiday offensively, and you lose a little bit defensively. That front court is hard to ignore. When you start really looking at the names and throwing them out there the way you just did, man, you're going, okay, and you're like, next. So get to somebody that you think is like a major factor. That might be the difference maker. So I think, again, the number's very, very close. I wrote over down on my paper here, and I'm going to stick with it barely. I could see them being 500. So it could go either way. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because of all the winning they've done.
I might go under on this one. And it's the only thing is 43.5 is so low. That's not a very high line. It feels like this line should be 45, 46. But I also think that they're going to struggle. So maybe Vegas is just onto it. Somebody has to win in the East. This is the biggest thing that I keep coming back to. Somebody has to win. I don't really buy their roster, but 43.5 is low. I'm going to say they win 43 games. The Detroit Pistons, 45.5. They went 44-38 last year. Very strange offseason. Malik Beasley obviously headlining some of the big changes that they've had, but they still have a good roster. They get Duncan Robinson, who does some of the Malik Beasley stuff, so maybe that's a replacement, straight 1-for-1. You get Jaden Ivey back. What do you make of this team?
They also added Karis LeVert. So
Karis LeVert,
look,
too. Yep.
yeah, Jaden Ivey coming back into the mix. You saw the year they had a year ago. I have a lot of respect for them. I think this was one of the easier ones for me. I'm going over. I think Detroit is going to be really good right out of the gate. They were so impressive what they did, the turnaround. That's why, for me, I thought that was an easy decision for my vote for JB Bickerstaff for Coach of the Year with what he inherited and where that organization was and what they did in one season. And I think they build on it. They played the Knicks, gave the Knicks everything they could handle in that series in the first round. So they got a taste of the playoffs. All these young guys take a leap forward, and they added depth to this team. So I'm going over, man. I like the over a lot, actually, with Detroit.
I like it less than you do, but I do like it nonetheless. I think that they win 47, 48 games. So, they beat this by a little bit. But I do wonder about their team and how much it's different with Jaden Ivey coming back. How much do they have to re-figure out their identity? Because that's a new identity. They had players that were doing some important things for them last year, so that are no longer there. So I don't know. But I do think that they're just a better team, and I believe in Cade Cunningham. I believe in Asar Thompson too. I'm very curious what he does coming back this year. So I'll go over, even if it's a little baby over. The Orlando Magic 50.5. This one's interesting because they win easy with their defense in the regular season, but their offense is so bad it makes it tough. They got injected with offense with Desmond Bane. I think I'm going to spoil this one. I think I'm taking the over, even though the line is so high. I think they are one of the teams like Houston that is just going to get some easy wins this year. So I'm going to take the over and think they get 52 wins.
Man, I'm with you. I'm going to take the over too. I agree with you. They made it hard. This number made it hard for me. Because if that number was like 47, 48, I would have been a lot more comfortable. Now you're talking, well, you're definitely predicting they win more than 50 games. I know they won 41 a year ago, and they had long periods of time without their two best players, and they added Desmond Bane. You go, okay, maybe that does add up to an additional 10 wins minimum. And I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna buy into that. I'm not super confident they're north of 50, but when you look at some of the question marks of these top teams in the East that have been mainstays and what they're dealing with, why not? Why not? Why somebody's gonna grab some space in the East? And Orlando, to me, and Detroit are the two teams I look at more than any.
They are a little bit thin. Jonathan Isaac, if he's healthy, obviously gives them a lot, but how often is that? There are some gaps in their rotation, if you see an injury, but I love their starting five. I think it's going to be one of the better starting fives, and I'm predicting big things for Paolo Banchero. So I'll take the over, even though that line 50.5 is really high, but I'll take the over. We skipped the Atlanta Hawks on accident, so we have to go back. That was my mistake. The Atlanta Hawks, 46.5 wins. They're a super interesting team. The thing about the Hawks is they have some flexibility now. They're a team that could end up making a late year push with a trade or something. But I love Jalen Johnson. He should return. Kristaps Porzingis there in the front court. Dyson Daniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, two of my guys playing alongside each other. I kind of like this team. I think this is an over for me as well.
I don't know, man.
You don't like them as
much. I want to, and I just feel almost like this is the one team I'm looking around the league, and I feel like something's happened with the overhyping of this team.
Oh.
That it can't go that way. Like it just can't. And look, a lot of it would have to be you just kind of buy into Trae Young. And look, he had a good year, a really good year facilitating.
For me.
And I actually probably thought maybe I liked watching him more last year than any other year, because I think he was a little bit more selective with when he was going to be just, a high volume shot taker. And he was a little bit more of a floor leader in the way he made guys better. Jalen Johnson's a really intriguing young talent. Dyson
Yeah,
Daniels,
he's
more of a
great.
defensive guy. I don't know how much more ceiling there is for Dyson Daniels offensively.
Mhm.
Zachary Reese-Shea had a very good year as a number
I
one
think he's
pick.
good.
Porzingis, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you put any
I
stock into
know.
like what you're going to get out of Porzingis at this point, but you add it all up to me, and I'm going to take the under. I don't know, man. I just think there's something out there. There's been too much talk about all these
That's
things
right.
Atlanta did to become relevant in the East. I don't know that it's going to happen.
They just have guys I love. Jalen Johnson, I really, really like. Dyson Daniels, Nikhil Alexander Walker, I really like. I think Risa Shea is like a smart player, skilled player, useful player. But I saw him taking the over. All right, we're different on that one. We haven't disagreed too much, but I like it. We'll have to circle back. The New York Knicks, 53.5. That's a big line. Somebody has to be at the top of the East. The Knicks are penciled there. What do you think? 53.5 legs.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to go over. I just look at to me, there are two teams. These last two teams we're going to cover are had the least amount of question marks going into the season, and that's the Knicks and the Cavs. Very talented rosters, both had great years, and coming into the year for the most part healthy. So, and the coaching change in the part of the Knicks, I like Mike Brown a lot. I think Mike Brown's going to be um, uh, somebody that's going to connect with these guys. I think they're going to play for him. And I think he's got a really smart mind for ways that he could clean up some things defensively with this team. I like their starting lineup a lot. I don't love their depth as much. They did add Jordan Clarkson, which is a nice pickup, in what he does and how he does it. They're going to have somebody to put the ball in his hands. They didn't have much besides Brunson a year ago. Now they've got another guy. Just put the ball in his hands and let him go, and he could flat out score. So because of the issues with some of these other teams at the top of the East, I'm going to take the over on the Knicks, which is a lot, man, because that's a big number. You're talking about them getting to 55, 56 wins,
Yeah.
57. I mean, that's a lot, but I'm still going to take the over because, as you said, they're to me the most known quantity we have right now, or no most known entity, rather, in the Eastern Conference, probably besides the Cavs.
They won 51 last year, so we're really counting on them getting a couple more wins, 3 more wins than they had last year. You could see them doing it because I think the East might even be worse than it was last year. Yabusele maybe helps a little bit. Jordan Clarkson maybe helps a little bit. New coach is a real big X factor here. I think I'm going to go the over 2, but I think this is another line that was perfect because I think they either win 52, 53, 54, or 55 games. I think it's that close to it. So, let me actually take the under. I'm going to take 53. I'm going to take him exactly at 53 wins. Somebody has to win in the East, but I just don't think that they're meaningfully different than what they were last year, even with the coaching change, which brings us to the last team, 55.5 wins for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're projected to once again sit atop the Eastern Conference, although not nearly what they did last year. They add Lonzo Ball. I love Lonzo Ball, big fan of his. What do you make of their offseason? What do you make of their chances next year to kind of repeat what they did?
Yeah, I mean, look, so you bring in Lonzo Ball, you lose Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome had,
He was good.
really big year for them. Did not play well in the postseason, but he had a really big year for them. He's moved on. You replace him with Lonzo Ball, who had an incredible story in his comeback, getting back on the court. I
He
like
fits
Lonzo
them,
Ball a
by
lot
the
too.
way. They move the ball really well, and Lonzo Ball is a good connector. So
He
that's
gets
one of
better.
the
Yeah, he
teams that
makes guys
passes
better,
well.
man. He
Yep.
inspires you to play harder offensively, cut harder, run the floor because he's all about making you look good. That I love guys like that. Lonzo Ball is one of those guys. Look, they're running it back with this team. This team won 60 plus games last year. And
Yeah.
to me, the only question they have going into the season, Darius Garland is going to miss a little bit of time at the start, but
Yeah.
I mean, it might not be much. They should have enough depth to overcome that. So I think actually for Cleveland, they won 64 a year ago, and you
9
dropped the
fewer.
number. You dropped the number by 9
I know.
with the question marks that Boston has, that Indiana has, Knicks with a new coach. Like, I don't know how you do that. So for me, I'm going to take the over on that.
You do it maybe by depth. The Garland piece of this, obviously Lonzo Ball, as much as it's a good story, how much is he going to play this year? And if he doesn't play, what does the depth look like behind him in the point guard spot? That's a real question, I think, for them. So I could see it. I don't think they're winning 60 games again. 55.5 is such a good number. I might take under on them too. I think they win 54 or 55 games. I think they'll be the 1 seed, but this might be a year in the Eastern Conference where 54 or 55 games get you a 1 seed. They ran a little hot last year. They were in such a perfect rhythm. I could see this one being a bit of an under. So we disagreed on a couple of these here at the top legs. But going through the
Yeah.
East and the number, what do you kind of think about as we kind of go through every team and look at the numbers for them?
Well, I think the fact that I was pretty split down the middle with taking the over, the under in the Eastern Conference. I think for me, what it says is there's a lot of opportunity here for some teams. And
Yep.
that's what's going to make the Eastern Conference the most interesting story. Like, because we know the Cavs are going to be good, and they were good, really good last year, and then they got bounced in the second round. So we're gonna kind of like take everything with a grain of salt with the Cavs. We know they're going to be good. We know the Knicks are going to be good. They lost improbably the way that they did. Okay, so we know both of the teams are going to be good. So as a result, we're going to be more focused on the next group of teams. And there's a lot of opportunity there for Detroit, Orlando, for Milwaukee, who you're, I think, higher on than I am, Philadelphia, like this major X factor, and what happens with them, Atlanta, and all the hype with what they did in the offseason. So that's what it says to me. There's a lot of uncertainty in the East, and it's going to make it very interesting because there is a massive opportunity to get not only into the mix, to end up, if let's say it is Cleveland and New York at the top of the East most of the year, what have those two teams accomplished? Nothing. Really.
Right. Oh, you're right. You're probably not terrified of them if you find them in the first.
That's what I'm saying. You're not talking about taking on the Boston Celtics at full strength, winning a championship. You're not talking about taking on the OKC Thunder or even a team like Denver that's still really good and reloaded. You're talking about the Cavs and the Knicks. What did those teams really pull off last year? Nothing. They haven't done what they needed to do so far. So why not us? And that's what some of these younger teams are going to feel. So that's what makes it really interesting. And then one thing to come out of all this discussion, we did the West first, and then we did the East. And I think one of the things that come out of this is I think now we know firmly where you're at on this prediction. First team all league, Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Edwards, and Michael Porter Jr. Adam Mares is on record as predicting Michael Porter Jr. as a first-team all-leaguer this year. That's
what I'm trying to tell you guys, man.
In a 20-win Brooklyn uniform.
This is what I get, James, when I say he's going to average 22 points a game. I just was asking the question. I was just asking the question, man. Let us know what you guys think about our Eastern Conference over-unders. Don't forget to check out our Western Conference ones as well. And make sure you're subscribed to this channel as well as wherever you get your podcasts. Let us know in those comments below and hit that like button on the way out. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next time.
All silly like the mayor.